Hi jewelry enthusiasts, and welcome back to the Chunky Jeweler, where we discuss all things sparkly and shiny. Today we have a special episode for you, where we take a special episode for all your aspiring goldsmiths out there. Today we're going to have a deep dive look at all the essential tools needed to start you off on your goldsmithing journey. So let's dive right in. First up, we have our trusty jeweler's bench. Sturdy work surface, equipped with a soldering pad, bench pin, and various compartments to keep your tools organized. You won't believe how much time is wasted on looking for a certain tool, like a certain burr size, drill size, and all those various things. So being organized is essential. A good workbench is the heart of the jeweler's workshop. That's where you spend most of your time, so having it neat and tidy and sturdy is definitely a must. This is the trusty bench pin, a versatile tool that acts as a support while you're sawing, filing and shaping your jewelry pieces. It's a must-have for any goldsmith, and you can then customize it to how you want it to suit your personal preference. Little notches, little slots and little grooves. I will still go into more detail with how you can customize your bench pins in future videos. If you're interested, just drop me a comment down in the comment section and I'll happily show you how to do all this. And you might not want that on your bench pin, but you can customize it however you want. Next, we have our trusty soldering torch. Tool that you can use to solder various metal components together. And there's various options out there. You have to choose your personal preference. You have propane, Smith's little torch that uses propane or acetylene mixed with oxygen, or you can use the good old butane torch. But be sure, if you're going to go for butane, get this set up. Go for the yellow canister, because this burns hotter than your blue canister. This is the matte version. So be sure to get this one, otherwise you won't be able to melt any of your gold or silver. This won't melt platinum though, so then if you get to the level where you want to melt platinum, you'll have to go for the Smith's little torch with a acetylene and oxygen mix. So when choosing a torch, always optimize safety. Choose one that suits your needs. You can always upgrade at a later stage. No jeweler's jewel kit is complete without a set of jeweler's files. They come in various sizes and shapes and so forth. Your essential ones, I like using little escapement file, a 3-corner one, and I normally go for this is a 3-cut, and the 3-cut refers to how rough your teeth are on the file. And you don't want to go too coarse, but you don't want to go too fine either. So I think to start off with, the number 3 file is your go-to file. So you can buy these little escapement files in sets. I don't like doing that. I prefer buying them individual, for the sake of you don't use all the files that's in the set, and it kind of works out a bit cheaper if you just buy the files you actually want. So one I would recommend is just your normal flat file. You also get these in a flat half round, which I could also recommend. What I do like about the flat file is the little square edge on this side. You do get them where one is smooth for a safety feature, so if you're filing close to a collet, for argument's sake, this side won't end up filing the side of your collet. So that's kind of a safety feature on the file. This one doesn't have that. They sent me the wrong one, but I've used it regardless. Then you get this little flat file. It's a safety back. So this works well for cleaning in between little, like your window on the side of the setting. You want to clean the gallery. This top part won't file the above metal. It'll only file the surface at the bottom end, and it's also got the safety sides, so it won't file anything on the sides as well. So little nifty file to have. Then I would also recommend you get a little square file. Try and get this into focus. Little square file. This is essential. If you want to make box settings or anything with a square angle, you're gonna need this file to help you guide or find your little guide section into the metal to fold it and get a perfectly perpendicular 90-degree angle corner. Essential, can't go without it. If you want to make good jewelry, you need this. And also another feature for this with this file is making dovetail sections for your sizing pieces. You can't do proper dovetails without a square file or square needle file. Get yourself one of these. Another essential file to have is the flat half round file. So it's flat on the one side, half round on the other. So this half round section is for cleaning your joints after sizing pieces or just shaping the ring on the inside. Definitely a must have. This is a coarse one, it's a second cut. So it just once again describes the coarseness of the file, how gritty the teeth are. You can, yeah, there it's fairly gritty, but not too gritty. Then I would also recommend you get one of these. Once again, a flat half round file, but this is a 3-cut. It's a little bit smoother, and this helps for free sandpapering. After you file with your coarse file, you just quickly give it a once over with this file to get rid of all the coarse file marks, and that'll allow you to paper the ring or your jewelry item much easier and less aggressiveness. You know, you don't paper too much of your metal away. So definitely something to have. This is a flexible shaft rotary tool. Now, if I can give you any advice, if you take anything away from this video, buy quality flexible shaft rotary tools. I would recommend the Fordham. You can get the base model Fordham one, but buy it from a reputable jewelry supply store. Don't buy it online. Don't buy it off Wish. You're going to be disappointed. You're going to get it for a bit cheaper, but it's not going to last. You're going to have endless trouble with it. And the main thing with this, what people don't realize, it's not the quality of the chuck, not how long the motor would last. And the Fordham one lasts a long time. I've had mine for close to 20 years. The trick is this. You might not see it well on the camera or on your screen, but speed control. And no one ever talks about speed control, and it's smooth. You can go up fast. And by the way, it's controlled with the pedal on the floor. And it doesn't shake a lot when you start and stop with this Bennett motor. You want a gradual start and a gradual stop with a lot of torque, because if you're burring or drilling, you need ultimate control. Don't mess around with this cheap stuff. This is going to cost you a few dollars. It's worth the investment in getting the quality machine. Don't skimp on this one. Take my word for it. You're going to regret it. But back to what it does. This is an essential part. It's almost as essential as your workbench. You can't achieve quality work without this little motor. And you can get the little cheap ones. I've got one over there with that works electronically. They're great, but essentially this is the one tool to have. The others are nice to have. This is a must-have. Oh, and one more thing with the hand pieces. You can get different hand pieces for this motor, right? They're fairly easy to interchange. I've worked with all the hand pieces, the quick release, the little pencil one. And you know what? I always end up going back to this one for the mere fact that you can adjust the chuck and you can add any little mandrels in there. Where's my other one? Pause for a second. So my wife bought me one of these kits for Father's Day, and I initially thought, don't know how often I'll use it, but thank you very much. But I'll tell you what, I'm ready to buy a second one because I've used almost all the stuff in this kit. Had I not have this handpiece, I wouldn't have been able to use that. See, this chuck you can open up as large as you want, well, to a certain extent. Let me show you. If you have a good look, I'll try and zoom into it. This is much thinner than that. And if you have one of those handpieces with a quick release, it only opens to a certain amount, and this little shaft wouldn't fit into it. But with this chuck, you're going to open up a fraction more, and you can use any mandrels you'd like to make your work easier. So keep that in mind when buying a handpiece. Next up, a trusty jewelry saw. I love this little saw. It's been through a lot with me. It's a little bit worn down, but I've had it for probably longer than I've had the hanging motor for. Independent motor, whichever you call it. But this little saw, and they're cheap as chips. Yes, it's nice to get those little new age ones with the red. I'll put a picture up in the corner. But they're truly expensive, and I've worked with those before, and I can't really say that there's much of a difference. Be careful buying these though. They are aftermarket shitty ones, pardon my French. Make sure it's a good quality one. You want it to be rigid, and when you have your saw frame, be careful you don't bend the back, because that'll affect the way you cut. So if you try and cut straight and this is bent, your straight line will end up curving, and you don't want that. And also when you're buying saw blades, get the quality blades. Don't skimp, don't try and save $2 on blades by buying the cheap stuff online. I'm not saying it's all bad. You get some good ones out there that's cheap, but it's not worth the risk in ruining a piece that you've been working on for 6 hours by having a cheap blade, and you end up cutting into the pattern that you're hoping to achieve. So get the quality stuff. So Chunky, I hear you asking, all these sound very expensive. Where can I save some money? Well, you can save some money on not the next item. Next up, little side cutters or flush cutters or in cutters. These are little side cutters. I prefer these. Get the Lindstrom brand. I'll put a picture up. What do you want to look out for with these? You can buy cheaper versions, right? But first off, it won't cut straight. You want the one side of your, say if you trimming claws and you're trimming the claw this way, right? You want the bottom or the top part of the claw to end up being flush. The side that's getting the waist side will have a point. If you get the cheaper ones, both of them will end up having a point, and they'll be a little bit smeared and funky looking. And essentially it doesn't make a big difference, but if you're in a hurry and you want to do a tidy job, and it'll make a bit of a difference, because you'll end up with different heights of claws, and then when you're trying to smooth them off, it's going to be a bit more tricky to get everything nice and level. So the quality cutter is important, and also the hardness of the bitey bit. That's a technical term. Alright, or the jaws. I've seen some, I don't know if I still have those. Yeah, so these are a cheaper pair that I bought. Let's see if I can get it to focus. I thought they would be a good little addition to my toolkit, and I was wrong. I'll try and do a close-up picture of it. But you'll notice in the jaw how the wires has marked the metal. So that bit is actually ruined. You can't use that again. You can't use that section of the jaws. So don't skimp. And I think if I remember correctly, there was about $10 or $15 difference between this one and this one. I just saw these the one day and I thought, they look quite nice, I'll get those. I used them 3 or 4 times and that was it, done. You can go and sharpen that a bit again, and you can harden the jaws and everything, but Is it really worth your time? For the extra 15-20 bucks, get the good one. So next, this is where I suppose you can save a bit of money. You can buy the budget pliers, little chain nose pliers, which is essential. You're going to need 2 of these. The flat nose pliers with a broad or duckbill pliers. No, not really duckbill, it's just a straight flat pliers. You're going to probably need 2 of these, and you can get the budget ones. They are also nice for modifying. So this one I've modified. You can see the tip there. This is for pulling prongs, holding wire. But these are quite handy to actually modify and change up, so you can make some tools that's actually easier for your particular work process. But yeah, definitely essential. Another essential tool, double round nose pliers. Essential for making jump rings, making little chainmail links, oval links, making jump rings, turning it, oval links, stretching it out. You must have seen the videos out there. And then another essential one, you can always get the budget for this one as well, is the half round flat pliers. Half round on one side, flat on the other side. It's nice for bending metals into a rounded shape, for making rings round. Little bezels, definitely essential tool to get. Our pliers, that's you should strive to actually get. These are just normal bendy pliers. If you place your metal there, squeeze, and it'll bend the metal into the shape you want. Obviously, the harder you squeeze, the more it bends. But when buying these, make sure you round off the inside edges. They tend to leave them quite sharp when you buy them when they're brand new, and that always ends up marking or leaving marks on your metal. So you want to try and avoid that. So just a cool tip, just use I think I used a black rubber wheel that's a bit coarse, a little bit of hardness to it, to just take away those sharp edges, the inside corners there, and then use a smoother one just to soften it off, get rid of all the markings, because every time you bend something, any marks that's there would leave an imprint on the metal that you're working with. And you don't this is that. A different version of that bendy pliers I just showed you. If you want to skip that one and go straight to this one, I would say do that, because this is the one I use the most. I hardly use that one anymore. You place your metal in there, close the pliers, and that'll shape it. That bends the metal into a ring shape. Or like you do a coin frame, and you get different attachments for this, different thicknesses. So that also helps. I don't have those anymore. This pliers I've had this for close to 15 years as well. Shows if you buy the good quality stuff. And keep in mind, these tools has traveled 20,000 kilometers in a shipping container. It's sat in storage for 3 years, and it still looks good. It's not rusty, just because I've always looked after it and make sure it's well oiled, not oil I can dripping with oil. I just every so often take a oil soaked cloth and wipe down my tools. You don't want it greasy when you're working with it, but you just want your metal to be well looked after. That light film of oil penetrates the metal and it keeps it from rusting, getting surface rust and getting all sticky and nasty. Up next, your digital calipers. You can't do anything without these little bad boys. It's crucial to have accurate measurements when working on jewelry, and a decent quality digital caliper is a must-have. It helps you in so many ways, and you can also, I've done little modifications on the front here for measuring in between claws when I need to measure stones, stone replacements. Little tricks with these, because you can measure depth and everything with it. You can get your metal squared up if you place it in between the drawers. If you want to see a more in-depth video on how to use all the facilities or all the possibilities with a digital caliper, or any caliper for that matter, but a digital one in particular, drop me a comment and I'll happily try and make a video more dedicated to the digital calipers. Finally, we have the polishing motor. This tool helps you achieve that brilliant shine on your finished pieces. With buffing wheels and polishing compounds, you can bring out the best in your jewelry. Bring out the shine, bring out the luster. You get different buffs, different compounds. I prefer using the Unipol yellow one, and I've got the stitch buffs. If you'd like to know more about the buffs and the polishing compounds, drop me a comment and I'll happily share the links with you and give you advice on which ones work best with the different types of metal that you're busy with. That's something you got to keep in mind. Different polishing compounds works better on different metals. For instance, platinum uses a different compound than gold to get that perfect luster out of the metal. So if you'd like to know more, let me know. Here's a little bit of an extra tip, just something you might want to consider getting is an ingot, essential for pouring out metal into a shape to start you off in your rolling process. You might want to get a rolling mill as well, but if you're just starting out, you don't need this. You can pre-order plate, square bar, square wire, normal thin wire. You can order ready-made metals in the shape that you want from your local precious metal supply store, where you buy all your tools and your metals. They should be able to provide that service. So it's not essential to have an ingot or a rolling mill or all those things, but eventually you'll need to get those, because if you want to actually start repurposing metals, like taking clients' old metal, melting it down and reshaping it into a new jewelry item, then you'll definitely need to get the ingot and a rolling mill. But that's something for a future video. Then lastly, but certainly not leastly, is getting one of these. It's affectionately called a third arm. So what this does, it uses what I call a spring tweezer, and you use it on your soldering block, and you essentially use this to actually clamp something in place, like a little chain or ring, whichever item you are soldering, a little pendant you're going to solder a jump ring on. So this keeps that item in place. So you get different resistance tweezers, or tweezers with various resistance. This one is quite intense because I usually use it for clamping rings. I use a different tweezer for soldering chains. That doesn't have as much grip as this one, or doesn't apply as much pressure as this one. That's the right term I'm looking for. So definitely something to get. And there you have it, my fellow goldsmiths. These essential tools will set you on the right path as you embark on your jewelry making journey. Remember, practice makes perfect. Don't be afraid to experiment and try new things and hone your skills. So if you have an idea, try it. There's no harm in trying something new and something different, and you don't have to take exactly the same path as someone else. You can develop your own style as long as you end up with a well-made, well-finished product that someone is prepared to pay money for. You're golden. So before we wrap up, I'd like to emphasize the importance of safety when using these tools. Always wear goggles, gloves, mask, all the necessary protective gear when working with these tools. Keep your workshop well ventilated and familiarize yourself with the handling of each tool. If you're just starting out, I recommend that you use good quality tools that will last you a long time. Take care of your tools by cleaning and storing them properly to ensure their longevity. You're going to make a living out of these tools. Look after them and they'll look after you. Well, that's all for today's episode, folks. I hope you found this guide to essential goldsmithing tools helpful. If you have any questions or when you want to share your own experiences with me, drop a comment below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, smash the like button. Until next time, keep creating, keep shining. Chunky Jeweler out.